What's going on, Obasi Posse? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Obasi, and if you're new here and enjoy this content, be sure to smash that subscribe button and become part of the gang. We'd love to have you. And being that we are reaching the end of October and Halloween is in our near future, I figured I would break down the history of where Halloween really came from. I thoroughly enjoy creating these eye-opening type videos like this and want to kind of revert back to it, especially during this time of all this political agendas taking place. Essentially, I figured my channel should resort back to where it once was. I have been feeling a little bit lost lately, so I kept praying to our Father for more direction, and for some reason, up until this morning, it was never a thought in my head to kind of go back to what I used to do on my channel, which was videos like these. So I don't know why I never thought of that before, but I think we'll do okay on my channel because it isn't politically based, and I think I got a little too political and kind of too over on that path. So I'm going to go back to where I was before all this madness happened in the beginning of March. So, if you guys loved the content from the past and have been with me for a while, you will love this video. So let's get back to where we first started. So let's talk Halloween. One really quick disclaimer: in all my videos like this, I do mention some Bible verses. I just want to point out that whether you are religious or not, this video is not meant to coax you into or persuade you to be of a certain religion or to follow a certain religion. I use it as a tool of reference due to the fact that it is my religion and I refer to the Bible. I don't refer to mainstream religion, including Christianity, for what it is today. I refer to the Bible, and there is a big difference there. What I do want to say is that I also include other sources for those of you who are atheist and practice different religions as well. This is by no means of any judgment, no means to persuade you, no means to do any of that. So let's outline really quick just what we're going to talk about in this video. Halloween has very large pagan and occult roots, deriving from a holiday known as Samhain. This holiday was celebrated before Christianity. So let's get back in history, around 2nd to 3rd BC, to the history's kings of the occult known as the Druids. A Druid was a member of the high-ranking class in ancient Celtic culture. They were considered priests, political advisors, medics, teachers, and mediators between the humans and the gods. So basically, they were like the big bosses who ran the streets back in the day. All the witches, the Wiccas, Satanists, and occultists would get their instructions from the Druids. Now, the Druids were 100% devil worshippers. I don't care what Wikipedia says. I don't care how people go around it. So the Druids had very significant calendar days. We're going to talk about that in 1 second, but I've spoken about significant days of the calendar year many times on my channel, so feel free to check out any of these videos. I have a playlist where I expose ancient religions and the New Age movement, biblical skepticism, and much more kind of revolving around this type of thing. 2 days of the calendar year were very special to the Druids. These 2 days were known as Beltane, which took place on May 1st, known as the birth of summer, and Samhain, which marked on November 1st, known as the death of summer, the night on which the Druids celebrate death and hell through horrendous human and animal sacrifice. And this day was also known as the Druids' New Year. Being that November 1st marked the day of their New Year, October 31st, therefore, was considered to be their New Year's Eve. Now, on this day, on October 31st, which we all know that day to be currently Halloween, the Druids believed that the veil separating this world with the next was the thinnest. So when all those who have died in the past year, they would rise up on this night in hopes to find the passageway into the other world, and their lord, Samhain, would roam the earth in search to take all the souls of the deceased. This was an annual practice of gruesome proportions of human and animal sacrifice. So as we move further along throughout history, towards the 7th century, we have Pope Gregory I of the Roman Catholic Church. And on his quest to take over or dominate the world in God's name, he sought out Britain and Ireland to convert them to his church and practices. So Britain and Ireland were primarily where the Druids resided and Celtics. And upon arrival, rather than abolishing the ancient Celtic practices of human sacrifice to the Lord Samhain, the Pope adopted them and simply changed the name of that holiday from Samhain to All Saints' Day. So moving forward in the 8th century, Pope Gregory III actually changed the date of All Saints' Day from May 13th to November 1st, therefore meaning that October 1st became All Hallows' Eve. So hallow being a verb, means to honor as holy, and hallow as a noun means saint. Now, when you combine hallow and then you get een, Halloween, een is a contraction of eve, or the evening before. Therefore, you get Halloween, the evening before a saint's day. So, if we go back to the Druids, holiday of Samhain, that would be October 31st, which would be the eve, the night before. All Saints' Day was a special day commemorating all the saints in the church, and this practice was not biblical by any means. So this is one of those contradictions that I was kind of talking about when people say, and when I referred to earlier in this video, that I don't even refer to myself as a Christian. Sometimes I say that I'm a Christian because there is a lack of a better term. So I just feel like I am a child of God who studies the Bible, because things like this that the Roman Catholic Church adopted and then spread, they aren't biblical. And there have been many videos where I actually expose things that churches do and certain things like that that aren't of the Bible. So when people get confused and think that, the Bible is a way to control people, this, that, and the other, there were a lot of things that the church actually took to make it worse and justify it. And there are so many ways you can actually justify different things to work for your agenda, if that makes sense. So now you might ask me, that now we know the history of where the actual word Halloween is derived from, how do you explain all the Western and Latin Dia de los Muertos traditions of this holiday? So in Latin America, we see Day of the Dead as well. And as I mentioned before, the Druids would perform inhumane and unimaginable sacrifices of both humans and animals, where they would place them in wicker cages and burn them to death. So a fun kind of bonus fact is that the word bonfire actually comes from the word bonefire, because once the fire had burnt out of all the sacrifices, all that would remain left would be the bones. So a tradition that is commonly associated with Halloween would be, let's take trick-or-treating. So when you go and you trick-or-treat, you and your kids dress up in like ghoulish, scary costumes and go door to door looking for treats. So when we revert back to the Druids, they would need to go house to house, knock on the door, and ask for humans to submit themselves for sacrifices later that evening. And as I've said before, on this day, October 31st, it was believed that the veil between both worlds was very thin, and all the demons and the Lord Samhain would be roaming the earth looking for souls to take. The Druids, during this quest, they would dress in demonic, scary, ghoulish type outfits to blend in with the demons roaming the earth on that day. So the Druids would confuse the demons and the spirits and the evil spirits as one of their own, therefore protecting themselves and their souls on their quest for humans and animals to sacrifice and souls to take. So the Druids believed that the roaming demons and souls would actually become hungry and tired, so it would be a disgrace if they did not leave out food or treats or even a place to rest during their long night looking for souls. And if they were not to leave out food, the living would then be cursed or tricked for years to come, therefore causing the living to honor this holiday and its practices. So that's kind of where trick-or-treating comes from, and costumes. So we can move on to jack-o'-lanterns. What is the deal with jack-o'-lanterns? Jack-o'-lanterns were never pumpkins or squashes or turnips or other vegetables cut into scary faces collected from your garden. They just never were. The original jack-o'-lantern was actually a severed sacrificial head from one of the Druid ceremonies. And this would basically, the Druids would decorate their temples and their houses with the bloody remnants of the severed heads, and they believed the head was the most sacred part of the body and it encapsulated the soul, so they would kind of carry it with pride and decorate with pride, knowing they sacrificed to the Lord Samhain. So when we look at all the traditions, we have to remember that none of this is biblical, none of it, and that the goal of Satan is to heavily blur the line between good and evil. And we see that happening a lot today. It's 2020. The line is officially blurred. A lot of people, especially this new generation, millennial, stuff like that, they don't even know what's left between what's right, what's good, what's bad, what's wrong, what's right. And it's scary. And it's just going to keep getting worse. So those of you who follow the works and teachings of Elohim, we can revert to some scripture to prove my point and the history of Halloween even further. And those of you who don't consider yourself religious by any means, I will quote the exact opposite directly from the Church of Satan website and other high priestesses who say the exact thing. So just looking at a couple verses in the Bible, Proverbs 8:36 says, and I use the King James Version, "But he that sinneth against me wrongeth his own soul. All they that hate me love death." Okay, so celebrating death is not biblical. You're not supposed to celebrate death. You're definitely not supposed to sacrifice things in the name of death. And Ephesians 5:11 says, "And have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather reprove them." So Halloween, Dia de los Muertos, Samhain, all these holidays, festivals, sacrifices, etc., all celebrate death, darkness, and hell. 3 John 11 in the King James Version, "Beloved, follow not that which is evil, but that which is good. He that doeth good is of God, but he that who doeth evil hath not seen God." We have 1 Thessalonians 5:21 through 22. "Prove all things and hold fast that which is good. Abstain from all appearances of evil." And we know that Halloween is basically promoting and celebrating evil, darkness, death, and this is around the world. The world celebrates this. 2 Corinthians 2:11, "Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices." This is one of my favorite verses of all time, and this is what I like to kind of revolve my channel around. It's very important not to be ignorant. The less ignorant you are, the more you can protect your vessel and your soul. And Satan, at the end of the day, preys on the ignorant. So like I always say, never conform to the world, because you aren't of the world. You're just not of the world, and the ruler of this world is the prince of the power of the air. And those of you who don't know from my previous videos, the prince of the power of the air is the devil. So let's look at some direct quotes that I took from the Church of Satan Ministries from a high priestess, Blanche Borton. It says right here, for those of you who didn't appreciate the Bible verses, Halloween is traditionally a time where the obscure portal into the realms of darkness, death, and the supernatural is thrown open. Demons and spirits have free reign for one night, cavorting, enticing us into their revels and revealing glimpses into the future. As a child drawn to darker passions from birth, I always delighted in the fear and fantasies of Halloween. It gives even the most mundane people the opportunity to taste wickedness for one night. They have a chance to dance with the devil, either stumbling, teetering, and nervous in the arms of the Black Prince, or boldly, ravenously sharing in the sensual excesses and fright of others on this magical, unholy night. So if that doesn't say it for you, and if you're not, a Christian or a reader of the Bible or any of those things, you have the exact opposite who is saying the same thing. Very scary stuff. It's quite crazy how much the line has been blurred in our world today, and I think that I will go back to doing videos like this. I always do keep them neutral, so anyone in the comments who says that I'm too biblical, or anyone who says that I'm not biblical enough, I do give a 50-50 of everything. You guys know where I stand personally, but what works for me may not work for you. We all move at a different pace, so I do respect that, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video and it enlightened you a little bit. I know I actually commented on this one Christian channel. I never got so much hate from commenting something. I think I commented something as simple as, "Love your video, thanks for posting," something like this. So many people, because they see that I'm a YouTuber, so many quote-unquote Christians were so mean to me. They said so many mean things. They said I shouldn't even be allowed to comment on his channel. They said something how I was pretty much satanic for making a pumpkin cake, among other mean things. And it's just so upsetting, because people like that who claim to be Christian and godly and follow the works of God and stuff like that, it really is just not appealing. When people who do that judge you, call you names, say that you're not good enough to, learn the Bible and stuff, I'm not that type of quote-unquote Christian. And it's upsetting that so many people are just very judgmental, very pointing fingers, very looking down at you. And it's just a turnoff. It's just ugh, who would want to go that direction and be like someone like that? You claim you're saved and you're of God and you're of peace and love and light and blah blah blah, but all you do is spew hate and judgment. So if you are thinking about going towards more of a biblical standpoint in your life, don't knock the Bible until you read it, and definitely don't judge the Bible or certain things in it based on the inaccurate historical translations and based on the acts of people on this earth. You have to have an eye of discernment. To be quite honest, people are a terrible representation of God in the Bible. They just are. And I just wanted to say that. So I hope you guys like this video and it brought some light into you. And if you guys want to see more of these videos, let me know. I will continue with them. And it's a great way to kind of give great content for you guys that I know you all love without anything kind of going to my Patreon or worried about censorship and stuff like that. So I think we found something that works. Sorry I didn't think of it fast enough. I prayed. I had a little breakdown. God gave me the answer this morning. I literally don't know why I didn't think of it sooner. So with that being said, be sure to subscribe, comment, and share. Again, I'm not on Facebook right now because of all the things that happened to me. So if you could share this on Facebook for me, it would mean a great deal. With that being said, I will see you guys in my next video. Thanks for watching.